He's a comedian. He's a correspondent for he's at the Los Angeles Bureau for a paper that we're not supposed to name, but believe me when I tell you, it is the most viewed in the world. May or may not rhyme with Schmaley Schmale. And you've also seen him on MSN, This Is Money, FR24 News, X-Bulletin, The Barrett Express, UK Time News, and many, many more. World traveler, wonderful fella. And he's back. How are you, buddy?
Hello, darlings. My love life. You're always making fun of me for going to the stupidest places on the planet.
Yes.
And my love life in Los Angeles has become such a mess. I'm going to wartime Armenia in a few weeks to relax.
See, now people who have just tuned in would have assumed that that is a joke. I bet that is not a joke. You are actually
It's
going
not
to.
a joke.
Yeah. You got a death wish. You put Lauren's shitty destinations to shame.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to Georgia, the country of Georgia, to hang out with the Russian draft dodgers, because you know those guys are going to be fun. And they all want green cards, so maybe I'll find a husband.
It's not a bad idea.
Looking on the bright side.
It's actually not a bad idea. Every time we talk, I'm worried that this is going to be the last time I see you alive. I mean, this is your itinerary. Your itinerary is nothing but death trap, death trap, death trap. Pause, death trap, death trap.
I am curious, though, like when you arrived, so you're going to Armenia, you said, right?
I'm going to Georgia and Armenia. I'm going to the
Okay.
Caucasus and the Balkans because I like to keep it light.
So do you know someone there, or like do you just talk to a cab driver to find out where to go, or like how do you plan these trips, like to make the most out of it?
You meet more Armenian cab drivers in LA than in Armenia.
Oh.
So I just
Here,
find
too.
out from them.
Now, wait, Armenia, is that what the Kardashians are?
Yes.
They are
Yes.
Armenian, yes. Oh, you'll definitely find some of their relatives.
They escaped. Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, the thing is, they're the only people that are hairier than the Indians. So it's okay.
Yeah, that's true. And I hate the fact that I remember this, but like a big plot point when the show first started was them getting the laser hair stuff.
Oh yeah.
And they got it everywhere.
Yeah. I had one eyebrow till I was 16. I had it laser split.
Oh wow.
That's the way to go. Fuck tweezers.
Yeah.
Use the
well, no,
technology.
Tweezers you have to do every week. No, I have threading, and I had them split with a laser.
You're going to see a lot of non-lasered things in Armenia. There's a before and an after picture. You're going to the country of before. LA's the after.
Well, it's funny, you know, because Armenia was in the Soviet Union for so long. And actually, if anyone is watching this show in Armenia, I hope somebody can confirm for me if this is true. I have been told, because Soviet Union and India were very close. So whenever you meet Armenians who grew up in the Soviet Union and you tell them you're Indian, they just start rattling off names of Hindi movie stars from the 50s. They're like, India, это моя родная страна. And they're like, Raj Kapoor, Shashi Kapoor.
It's just that's what they were allowed to watch because it wasn't a pro-Western agenda?
It was just very popular. India and Russia have always had a connection. And so when it became Soviet, and it was big all over the third world. It was also Imperial Iran was a U.S. client state, and these movies were also very big there. It's more of a cultural connection.
Yeah.
But apparently, I've been told that there is still a movie theater in Yerevan that plays Indian movies 24 hours a day.
That's great. There's
That's
some
fun.
Rocky Horror Picture Show element to it there.
What if they're actually showing Rocky Horror Picture Show?
The Rocky Horror Picture Show. Well, you know, the thing is, I don't know how the Rocky Horror Picture Show would work in the Caucasus, because to them, you know, that's a child's birthday party. So
their Santa Claus, I guess, is a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania.
So Chris Rock's special called Selective Outrage streamed on Netflix on Saturday. I did not watch it. I might.
You should. It's good.
But a lot of people wanted to hear. He did have some other really funny jokes about lots of, pop culture, different types of things. But he did talk about the Will Smith slap.
You knew it was coming at the end.
Yes.
And he dutifully did it at the end, so you had to go through all the other stuff,
Yeah.
which was fine because it was very funny.
And, you know, we were waiting to hear why, you know, he hasn't really said anything. He never sat down with Oprah. And he said, I'm not a victim, baby. You'll never see me on Oprah or Gail crying. You'll never see it. Never going to happen.
Love it.
Some of the funny bits, we are not the same size. This guy does movies with his shirt off, said Rock about Will Smith. You'll never see me do a movie with my shirt off. If I'm in a movie getting open heart surgery, I got a sweater on.
What do you think of her Chris Rock impersonation,
Thank
Samir?
you. So good.
Pretty dead on, right?
You'll never see me do a movie with my shirt off.
Better.
Is that better?
I want her to do some of his bits from Bring the Pain.
Oh, boy. What else? Oh, this is really great. I did not have any entanglements, said Rock. She hurt him way more than he hurt me. That's a good
That's a
sort of
great
point of
Yeah,
view.
he had a lot of good philosophical twists on
Then
things.
he added, I love Will Smith. Now I watch Emancipation just to see him get whooped.
That was the final one. It was so goddamn
That's
good. And then he goes into it. He's like, "You missed a spot, master." Like just him watching the thing of Will Smith. That was brilliant. That was so fucking good.
But you know what hurts more than a slap? The fact that Rock is getting $40 million for a 2 special deal. At least that's what he signed for in
my
2016. In 2016. So who knows if they've revised that deal,
I
but
wonder his daughter's going to culinary school in Paris. He
that's
talks
like
about that a lot.
but that's like each joke is like $250,000.
And he fucked. That's the thing. Did you watch it, Samir?
I haven't seen it yet, but I've seen the bits of it that have been like viral.
Right, but you can tell why these comedians have never done their main specials live, because he unfortunately the one time he fucks up was in the middle of his Will Smith thing.
Oh, really?
And it was live. There
Right.
ain't nothing you could do about it. He essentially. I'm not making it sound as kind of like it wasn't bad, but it just sort of fucked. It was an,
Timing,
it would have been an otherwise great joke, but then he goes, fuck, I fucked up the joke, and he says it all in one sentence. Sorry.
He mixed up the title of 2 movies. Joe was asking what the horror was.
Concussion and Concussion and Emancipation.
Yeah.
And then he sort of foreshadows what he's going to say at the end.
Yeah.
And obviously that would have been taken care of in when they do these things. They do 3 or 4 of them and then get the best bits.
Right.
But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Really funny. I'm sure there's stuff that I think he's actually. You know, you keep hoping that we're going to get past all this fucking cancel bullshit. I think he's untouchable pretty much. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that a lot of people of us who are not of his stature might have issues with after the fact, but I think he'll be fine. But I thought it was pretty good. Did you guys see it?
The thing is, all of these old, like, heavy hitters have pretty much mellowed out. Everybody has mellowed out. The culture has gotten so much more restrictive that they say things that, by the standard of what they were doing 25 years ago, seems like an Ellen bit now.
Yeah.
But now the culture
Right.
has got restrictive that it seems so transgressive.
Yeah.
But all of these guys have mellowed out with age, fatherhood, you know.
Yeah, you guys tell me, because I'm not good at thinking about things. Now, the one thing that occurred to me is I think we were all sort of, kind of, I guess, in agreement, Emancipation and its horrible box office notwithstanding, that Will Smith was going to ride this wave. That in the overall, people will forgive and forget, and he'll be fine. Now, after this, I still think that that's probably the case, but his time in purgatory has just been extended dramatically because Chris Rock was fucking merciless. He goes into the whole relationship, the cheating, the guy, he makes fun of her interviewing Will Smith about the fact that she cheated on him and that being that much of a cuck. Like, it was absolutely relentless. And you know our attention span, he essentially just went through all of these bullet points about Will Smith and reminded the culture about it. And therefore, that kind of, I think, fucks Will Smith over for a lot longer than normally would have occurred.
I don't know. I don't think that Chris Rock turned anyone.
Huh?
I don't think Chris Rock was has more fans or has more people hating on Will Smith now. I think that there was a line drawn in the sand at that moment. Either you liked Will Smith or you didn't. Like, you either thought what he did was wrong or you didn't. I don't know that it's really
right
will affect people that much.
Yeah, I also don't think, if anything, I think the opposite. I think, yeah, the phrase Joe used is apt, that a line has been drawn under it. Okay, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. Chris Rock has finally said something back. We can move on. I
Yeah.
think I think that's more what it's like, because also I think, what Will Smith was trying to do with the slap kind of worked, because he had been so emasculated by his wife this entire time, and he went up on stage and smacked Will Smith across the face. I think he should have scratched Will Smith's little eyes out personally. If he was gonna slap it. But he did it to make himself feel like a man again, and frankly, it was the sexiest thing he's done in years.
They could have, if Will had not slapped Chris Rock, they could have, after the fact, this could be a completely different story. Well, Chris Rock has to do an apology.
Yeah.
Because if it was just the joke, and then she comes out about alopecia awareness and how hurt she was, he's the bad guy. And a lot of people would try to cancel.
You could argue the slap was the best thing to happen to Chris Rock in that situation.
Absolutely. Yes. They really did not play that well, or at least Will didn't. But, yeah, oh, God. It is amazing, although maybe not, that almost a year later, here we are, still talking.
I'm over it.
Yeah, Will slapped Chris Rock's mean streak back into him. It was great. You know how people say now, generational trauma.
Yes, that is huge right now.
Yeah.
It's like that phrase, generational wealth. There was a great writer who was a real bitch, Nancy Mitford in England. These things are, it's one of those, the Venn diagram is a circle. But she was a real bitch, and she came from the aristocracy, and she wrote this essay in the 50s called The English Aristocracy, where she came up with words that were you and non-you. You meaning upper class, and you would be caught out as whether you came from the upper class by which words you used. So so you, couch is non-you, rich is you, wealthy is non-you, sick is you, ill is non-you. And we don't have things like this. We didn't used to have things like this in this country. This used to be, you couldn't really tell. The whole culture was middle class. But now we do, and one of the tells is, if you say generational wealth is non-you. If you're you say old money.
Yes.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. What was the name of that writer again?
Nancy Mitford. She had this wild family. She was from this family. They were the Kardashians of England in the 30s, except even wilder. There were these 6 aristocratic sisters. One of them, Jessica, she was fat, so she became a communist. And she ran off.
As one does. No, I get it.
Yeah. She ran off with Churchill's red nephew to go fight with the Spanish Republicans. Then there were the 2 fascists. One of them, she was like tall and kind of boxy and ugly. And actually, you know what? I'll start with the other one, the pretty one. Diana Mitford married the head of the British Union of Fascists in Magda Goebbels' living room with Hitler as guest of honor. Hitler, with his typical modesty, gave a signed picture of himself as a wedding present. This married
Typical
couple,
Hitler.
Yeah,
Trump doing that.
You know what? He was always in character. He committed to the bit.
Yeah.
So they spent the war in jail. Unity, the other fascist, her fate was kind of sealed by the fact that her middle name was Valkyrie, and she was conceived in the town of Swastika, Ontario. So you know where this is going.
Well, it's a mixed metaphor, though, because Valkyrie was the plot to kill Hitler, and yet swastika, that's pretty Nazi.
She was conceived in Swastika, Ontario. She became Hitler's stalker. She fell in love with him. She stalked him at a restaurant in Munich called the Osteria Bavaria. She eventually wormed her way into his inner circle. She was madly in love with him. They were very good friends. She called him Uncle Wolf. She wanted to fuck him. He wouldn't fuck her because she wasn't German. She wrote her letters from Munich and just from Germany during the 30s are hilarious because she was in Munich during the Night of Long Knives, and she's talking about poor Hitler. And she signs off the letter to one of her sisters, Heil Hitler, love Bobo.
Oh my God.
And she said, Ernst Röhm was one of the adjutants who was killed in the Night of Long Knives. And then she was, Unity is talking in the letter about, and they went to so-and-so's room and found him in bed with a boy. I wonder if that got into the English papers. It was imagine Chloe in a ball of stubble.
Fucking, I didn't know anything about this, and I watch way too much Hitler shit, to the point where I think I'm on some lists.
Well, yeah, Unity was on the balcony with Hitler at the Hofburg in Vienna when he announced the Anschluss. But she eventually, when war was declared between England and Germany, she felt so torn in two that she went to the English Garden in Munich and shot herself in the head. But she fucked it up, and she was for 8 years before the wounds finally killed her.
What the fuck? This is unbelievable.
How is this not a limited series on some streaming network? I would watch.
How is this at the very least not a Lifetime miniseries?
Yeah.
They're huge in England. I mean, the Mitfords, there's still a huge cult of the Mitfords. J.K. Rowling named her firstborn daughter Jessica after Jessica Mitford, the fat communist.
Oh.
This is unbelievable. I knew nothing about these people. This is fucking fascinating. I mean, and my mind is spinning right here. Like another thing, because like with Drunk History, R.I.P., what a wonderful show that was. Their big thing was it would, not only do you have to relay the history, you would have been great on it, drunk, but it's also supposed to be, for the most part, arcane stuff that you wouldn't necessarily already know. You loaded relaying this on that show would have been game busters.
I know, that's the problem. You know, in Los Angeles, it's not 10 a.m. yet, so I'm only tipsy. So,
Even more commendable.